So today we're going to craft a Venusian Bath Powder with magical love herbs. And if you only have a shower, then that's okay. There are many ways you can use this magical powder in your craft. I'll show you as we go along. Now let's take a look at the materia magicka of love. So firstly, we'll be using rose petals. Now, no other flower quite symbolises love like the sacred bloom of Eros. And we'll be using the root of Angelica Archangelica, or the root of the Holy Ghost. Its beautiful name comes from a legend of an angel who visited a monk in his dreams and revealed to him the healing properties of the plant. Angelica root has sweet smelling stems and roots, which is why we use it in love magic. We'll be adding violets, a herb of Aphrodite, owed to its sweet and delicate scent. Wild heather, sweet and silky, known for its powers for drawing love and luck. Lavender, cleansing, floral and fragrant. Lavender has an affinity with water and with the divine feminine. And for one of my favourites, orris powder. Orris powder is made from the root of Iris germanica and Iris pallida. Now this divine magical herb has a fragrance like Parma violets. It's been used for thousands of years all around the world in love magic. In Japan, the roots and the leaves are hung from houses to ward against evil spirits and to draw in an abundance of love and luck. And finally, Himalayan pink salt. I always use Himalayan pink salt in my bath blends because it contains minerals that leave your skin feeling soft and nourished without feeling dry. Now, because we live in the 21st century and presumably we all lead busy lives, I'm afraid we're not going to be using the pestle and mortar to grind down our ingredients. Instead, we're going to be using a good modern blender, and we're going to make enough to fill a 1 ounce jar which holds about 300 grams of Venusian Bath Powder. From this jar, you can get 3 lavish baths. So that's around 100 grams per bath, which looks like this amount here. And it's plenty for a luxurious ritual bath. So the first ingredient is going to be 300 grams of Himalayan salt. So we're just going to measure out our salt. Right, so that's about 300 grams in there, and this we're going to add to the blender and powder it down. So you want to give it a good 2 or 3 minutes in the blender to reduce it down to a very fine powder. And once you've got your powdered salt, we're going to add it to a mixing bowl so we can blend in our other ingredients. In it goes. So to our 300 grams of powdered salt, we're going to add 10 grams of botanicals and a good dash of essential oils. Any more than the 10 to 300 gram ratio of botanicals is going to have a drying effect on your skin because herbs, resins and flowers tend to do that. Now, the reason we're powdering down the botanicals is so that they'll dissolve into the bath water and your skin will absorb most of the benefits. And then when you come to pull the plug at the end, your drain won't get clogged up with all the bits of petals and things. Now, to save time messing around with the blender, I've already powdered down the botanicals. So here we have the 5 grams of rose petals, which I'm just going to add to the salt powder. I've got my 2 grams of lavender. I've got my 2 grams of orris powder and 1 gram of Angelica root powder. I'll just give that a quick stir. So to the powdered blend here, I'm just going to add a good dash of heather. Not too much. I mean, if you're going to measure it out, I recommend about 2 grams. I'm going to add to this a good pinch, which again is probably between 1 gram and 2 grams of sweet violets. And a good pinch of rose petals. Now, as you can see here, we've got this beautiful powdery, salty botanical mixture, fit for any love goddess. Now, a quick word about essential oils and selecting essential oils to use in Love Magic. So my favourites, which I've chosen to work with here, are rose damask and sandalwood. I love to use these in my beauty blends. This is an ancient Persian beauty fragrance that was worn by women and priestesses. Very expensive oils, would have been very, very expensive, very, very difficult to make and process thousands of years ago. So only the richest and the most elite men and women would have had access to rose and sandalwood fragrances. They still are fairly pricey today, and it's a bit of a luxury treat. You know, I like to put them in my blends and my products for my customers, but I'm quite sparing when it comes to using them myself. So if you don't want to splash out on rose and sandalwood oils, you could go for musky scents such as ylang ylang and patchouli, very sultry and sensual and wonderful to use in love rituals and magic and self-love especially. And they blend very well with bergamot and geranium, which also bring in those lovely floral, strong feminine scents. Jasmine is another wonderful oil to use, or gardenia. If you don't like floral, if you wanted to go for something a bit more traditional, you could go for relaxation, lavender and chamomile, which will also, a blend of lavender and chamomile will work really well in this blend, because it will complement, you know, and strengthen the lavender that's already in there. And chamomile, rose and lavender, these work really well together in all circumstances. So I'm just going to add a few dashes in here. I generally don't measure out how many drops of oils I'm using. I tend to just keep adding and you know, using my intuition and my senses to know when I've added enough, or if there's not enough. Sometimes I'll leave it for a little while, you know, just to macerate and cover it up, and then come back to it. And then I'll and lift the lid or the foil off, and you'll get a nice hit of the scent, and you'll be able to tell at that moment whether it could do with a little bit more of this or a little bit more of that. Yeah, so that's really how I like to work. You can be too heavy-handed with essential oils sometimes, and definitely I have been, and you tend to learn that. So I think, just as a good rule of thumb, for this sort of quantity that we're making, you don't want to be putting in any more than 30 drops of essential oil. That's quite a lot. So I would say between 20 and 30 is probably a sufficient amount, so you can get a nice heady fragrance that will keep and for each bath, and will fragrance each bath very nicely. Right, so we're just going to add in now the rose damask. usually when I'm doing this, I'm chanting. So for the different deities or different workings, I'll invoke different deities for different workings depending on the spell intention. And for this one is a Venusian Bath Powder. So we really want to be invoking Venus, Aphrodite, both the same spirit of love. In my book, you may prefer the name Eros. It really doesn't matter too much on the specific name or the origin of the love deity. Just whichever version resonates most with you and you feel more comfortable with is the one to go for. Your chant doesn't need to be anything complex. It doesn't need to be a work of romantic poetry. It can be just something that trips off the tongue fairly easily. So I would like to say, Venus, great goddess of the skies, I call in your blessings of love. And I would just repeat that, firstly out loud as I'm blending, and then as I continue to blend, I allow myself to go into, say, more of a trance-like state. I'll internalize my chanting, and I'll say it to my head, and it will become rhythmical. And while I'm working, I will enter a very meditative state where I am repeating my chant as a mantra. And all that energy, all that intention is concentrated into the task at hand. And that really is, one of the key things for me with magical herbalism. And it's something which it's not easy to convey or get across, like on your shop, actually how you make the items or what goes into them. Quite often we'll say, an oil has been ritually created or an incense has been ritually created. But I think for the person buying it, it's usually more about the scent, the quality, the ingredients, and how it resonates with them and how to use it, and how well you get across how they need to use it and how it will benefit them. And the ritual crafting is more something which is personal to the one who's making it. Which is why I think it's quite important that all magical practitioners are as much consumers, makers as much as they are consumers. Because it really is in the making of the thing and the enchanting of the thing that we get to work our magic, and then we can share it with other people, which is just a very wonderful thing. O Venus, beauty of the skies, I call in your blessings of love. O Venus, beauty of the skies, I call in your blessings of love. And so we'll now add some sandalwood. And a good lashing of sandalwood, because I know the love deities absolutely love this scent. And another thing that I like to do as well when I'm working is to light incense in honor of the deity that I'm working with, and a candle. So we'll just do that now. So I've got here, this is my little in bulk offering dish to Brigid, but in the center here I have my charcoal, and I'm going to add to that a special incense that I use for love magic, which is my Artemis rose, which is a lovely blend of frankincense, rose and mugwort and vervain herb. Oh, and we'll light a candle as well, why not? So I'll just wait for that charcoal now to burn through, and I'll add some of my Artemis Rose incense blend, in honor of Venus, the deity and spirit of love. O Venus, beauty of the skies, I call in your blessings of love. This offering is for you as we blend a beautiful love bath powder in your honor. And we call on you to help us to imbue it with your blessings of love, of light, of good fortune, to come to those who will use it in their bath and bathe in your honor. So I feel now like adding some more whole flower petals to this, because I just really want to see some strength and some beauty coming through. Let's put some more of these silky, soft, sweet heathers in. O Venus, beauty of the skies, I call in your blessings of love. O Venus, beauty of the skies, I call in your blessings of love. O Venus, beauty of the skies, I call in your blessings of love. O Venus, beauty of the skies, I call in your blessings of love. O Venus, beauty of the skies, I call in your blessings of love. O Venus, beauty of the skies, I call in your blessings of love. O Venus, beauty of the skies, I call in your blessings of love. O Venus, beauty of the skies, I call in your blessings of love. Okay, just a few more rose petals in there. So this is really quite a lovely powder, and I'm looking forward to demonstrating in a minute how it reacts when we put it into water. And if you do get the opportunity to make this either for yourself or as a gift or present for someone else, or if, like me, you are an apothecary owner and you make things to sell to others, you've just got to try bathing in this solution, because it's divine. It's silky, it's soft, it's sweet, it's everything you want out of a ritual goddess bath experience, really. So I want to add a little bit more sandalwood, because I'm not quite convinced I got enough coming out of there. Sometimes these bottles can be quite tight at the top and you really have to give it a good shake. And other times you can get them with a very loose pourer, and you only want to put in a couple of dashes and it all pours out instantly, and then you're buggered. Well, no, we just go with it, really. It's all right. I mean, the wonderful thing about magical crafting with herbs is that it's a very intuitive experience, and there's not really much you can go wrong with. It's like painting a picture, in that it's a creative experience. There are some small technical aspects, such as like measurements and weights when you're working with herbs and oils, and mainly because you don't want to overpower, or you don't want it to be too weak, and mainly you don't want to dry out your skin, or to have anything, if you're making a tea blend, to taste too strong or too sharp. But you know, it's all practice, and sometimes you get them spot on, and other times, you know, you can make a blend or something which is a bit weak in one area, but you're always learning and you're always evolving, and it's a craft, so that's okay. We're not too harsh on ourselves, and we're not too rigid. We just really want to enjoy and really become at one with the craft, and use it as a way of connecting with the deities. So I am now just going to pour. This is ready to use. So I'm going to put it into the jar here, and then we'll just talk a little bit about the planetary days and hours of Venus, and when you might like to take this ritual bath, or to create it, or to create the blend. Okay, so now we have our Venus Love Powder. So planetary days and planetary hours, how do we work with them? So Venus's day, Freya's day, is Friday. Friday is a love day, and you could blend this on a Friday and really align your intentions and your energies with Venus by working on a Friday. It's a lovely experience, a nice thing to do. Really feels like you've got your act together, and you're in sync, and you're aligning with your intentions, and it's a lovely thing to do. But we can't always be present and align our intentions to these very rigid days of the week and hours of the day in order to do our magic. And that doesn't mean that we shouldn't do it. So if you can't do this on a Friday, then but you still wanted to work with Venus energy in the day, then try doing it at 8 o'clock in the morning or 8 o'clock at night. Now, if you can't do that either because you're busy, you've got kids, you've got things to do, but you still want to make it, and that's absolutely fine. You can do it at any time, but perhaps use it or have your bath, on a Friday at 8 o'clock. After you emerge and you're feeling all cleansed and connected, then you can do your love spell. Now let's see how our magical bath powder works in action. Because I can't take my camera and lights and everything upstairs into my little bathroom at the moment, I thought instead we'll just create a nice little cleansing ritual bowl so you can see how the salts and the hot water interacts. In goes our hot bath water. And to this I'll add a spoon of our Venusian powder. And it goes. All right, look at that. So that's beautiful. So it's cloudy, it's pink. You've got a few delicate petals floating on the top, but the majority of our materia that's been powdered down is being dissolved into the water and just creating this lovely, cloudy, milky texture. It smells like violets, rose, lavender, sandalwood. It's musky, it's sensual, it's divine. When you put your hand in as well, your skin immediately feels soft and smooth, so you can feel how it's nourishing the skin. It's just a really, really lovely bath powder for a love ritual, for love spells and magic. Now, if you don't have a bath, as I was saying before, but you would love to make this powder, you can still use it in, say, a foot spa, or, like a nice bowl or a basin of water that you can put your feet into, put a good spoonful of this in, it will really moisturize and soften your feet. This will be a perfect addition to a self-care ritual, a night of pampering, of doing your nails, face mask. It's a salt, and salt, the magical properties of salt are cleansing and purifying, and it should be used magically as a salt is. Himalayan pink salt isn't best for cleansing magical tools and surfaces because it does contain a lot of rough, rubbly kind of minerals. I think it's cut out of rock in a mountain rather than from the sea. So it does have a quite a rubbly texture, which is great for the skin because it's nice and talky and moisturizing, but it will leave a residue if you use it for cleaning altars or any surfaces. So for that kind of cleansing ritual, I would generally use a a white salt, like a sea salt, a pure sea salt. Himalayan is best for the skin, but this is a wonderful salt to use in love charms, if you make mojo bags or spell jars, or little witch bags or witch bottles for love. Definitely this is a really nice salt to work with, because it is just packed and imbued with rich with materia magicka of love. And just to finish off, why don't we ritualize this moment? We've got our love powder here, and we've got our candle lit for Venus. And so I'll just say a little parting enchantment and send it out to you all. O Venus, beauty of the skies, I call in your blessings of love. Bless us in your divine spirit. Help us to heal our emotional wounds, to radiate in your goodness and your beauty, and let us bathe in your happiness and be nourished by your empathy. And this enchantment goes out to all of you watching this and who's sharing in this moment. If you enjoyed my very first video, please remember to subscribe, like and share. Brightest blessings to you all. Blessed be.